the representative of Kenya.
Thank you, Mr. President. I thank Secretary General Antonio Guterres and Under-Secretary General Rosemary DiCarlo for their updates on the situation in Ukraine. Kenya takes this opportunity to convey our best wishes to President Zelensky and the people of Ukraine on their Independence Day. We regret that what should be a day of celebration is impaired by a war that has breached Ukraine's territorial integrity, contrary to the fundamental principles of the UN Charter. The people of Ukraine have suffered greatly these past 6 months. We offer them, and particularly the bereaved families, our deepest condolences. Mr. President, Ukraine's Independence Day gives us an opportunity to appreciate our own independence, as I am sure is the case for every member of this assembly. We will forever be thankful for the brave men and women who fought for our freedom. We joined the UN within days of becoming independent. We signed up to its principles because as a young nation, we needed assurance that our sovereignty, territorial integrity, and political independence would be respected. We valued its mission to outlaw aggression, to use its instruments to help us turn our swords into plowshares so that we could enjoy the fruits of our freedom. We remain thankful that this United Nations stood for decolonization, that it gave voice to the smallest countries in the world without regard to their military might or wealth. What a precious heritage we have, and how intolerable that it should be as endangered as it is today. We are forced by this moment to recall how its failed predecessor, the League of Nations, was unable to stop the conflicts that led to the Great Fire of World War II. Multilateralism, as expressed in the United Nations, including in this venerated chamber, with all its flaws, is our last hope against a new world war. The wars we choose to fight as Kenya and Africa, as I believe is the case for most of the world, are for independence from poverty, ignorance, and disease. We have no desire to be drawn into a worldwide conflict, or for our grievances and disagreements to be the soil in which wars by proxy take root. We see in Ukraine's war a grim warning that we too may be engulfed by the competitions and confrontations that are contributing to its ferocity. That is why we believe that Ukraine's immediate fate is so important to all of us. Ukraine deserves the same freedom and independence that we enjoy. It is a member of our UN in good standing. Its sovereignty, territorial integrity, and political independence should be respected. Its people do not deserve to have their lives and livelihoods destroyed. Unless the Ukraine war is stopped through dialogue and negotiation, it could be the first of a series of conflicts that future historians will name the Third World War. Such a disaster would be different from the last wars and all the wars before them. The dangers of direct conflict between nuclear-armed powers means that most of their confrontations would be undertaken by proxy. Africa and the rest of the world would be thrown into a mirror of the Cold War that shattered our democracies, overthrew and killed our leaders, and robbed us of decades of economic progress. Stopping this war in a manner that adheres to the principles of the UN Charter is what will keep other old grievances from boiling over. Mr. President, not all is lost. Even in such dark times, we must remember that in the past, serious threats to international peace and security have been successfully resolved. There is yet a chance to build a civilian but important success represented by the agreement between the parties for the secure export of Ukraine's food products through the Black Sea, as well as food and fertilizer exports from Russia. We commend the Secretary General and the government of Turkey for their crucial facilitation. The willingness of the parties to negotiate and the alertness, subtle skill, and moral persuasion of the facilitators demonstrate that diplomacy is still able to deliver if given a chance. We cannot leave our fate to the most powerful. Some of them may be bent on domination, but we cannot allow it to be at the expense of our common peace. They may project certainty and great power, but none can know or control the future. It is time for intuitive, bold leadership from any and every country that has influence or leverage to push them to dialogue rather than confrontation. The immediate aim should be for cessation of hostilities in Ukraine, the opening of safe humanitarian corridors and unhindered humanitarian access, and the security of all nuclear installations, especially the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. These should be part of a roadmap to achieving a comprehensive agreement that secures the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. Such an end, given the emerging escalation between the great powers, would ideally be linked to a broader negotiation that produces a stable European security order. The principles underlying such an order should adhere to the UN Charter and be utilized to stabilize other parts of the world. In the meantime, Kenya, while in the Security Council and in all relevant forums, will offer every support to positive efforts seeking these aims. We will continue to champion the cause of the Secretary General and his team, who need to be commended for their tireless efforts. In this regard, we applaud his recent visit to Lviv. We also pay tribute to the determined efforts by the UN's agencies, funds, and programs to provide humanitarian aid and comfort to Ukraine's vulnerable. Their impact is evidence of a depth of competence that we hope is resourced and deployed with equal ambition in other conflict areas. Mr. President, we know that even with a gravely threatened multilateralism, as reflected in this downcast Security Council, a spirit of urgency and imagination can still allow us to forge a just peace for Ukraine. I wish for all Ukrainians their continued independence, as I reaffirm Kenya's respect for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. I thank you for your attention.